All systems go. Cleared for takeoff.
What is up, everybody? Happy Wednesday. Usual, Nades and I breaking down this MLB slate. I hope everybody out there having a good day so far. Hope your early MLB is going a little better than mine. But hey, we have a nice slate to make up for it. Nice little 8-game slate. Doesn't look like we have any weather to worry about too, which is always nice. Nades, we were talking a little pre-show. You were like, man, MLB might have brought the juice balls back after the All-Star break. Sure what it looks like yesterday. The balls were flying. Pitching was very tough. Pitching, I think, is a lot better on this slate. Early slate was a little tough. A lot of people in the negatives. This slate, I think multiple guys you can make a case for. I'm excited for this one. Braves look like the best team on the slate, but they're expensive at least. So I'm excited to dive into this one. Should be a fun slate. How's your Wednesday going, Nate? What's going on, man?
Yeah, Wednesday was good. Got a nice round of golf in this morning like I do every morning, so that was nice get out on the course there. 6 a.m. tee times are always nice up here in Wisconsin. Enjoy the beautiful weather. Had some meetings and stuff going on with work. Did not jump in the early straights, and I see a bunch of stuff going on. Pitchers getting blown up, and like I said, I do think MLB said, hey, watch this. We're going to throw the juice balls back and get people watching runs being scored. 7 teams scored over 10 runs last night after the All-Star break, right? It's pretty much MLB and golf. And one way to keep that viewership up is watching Home Run Derby Fest go on in baseball games. I mean, watching that Braves game last night was incredible. We nailed it, right? Title, you talked about the D-backs. We obviously were pushing the chips on the Braves, but there was about a million other teams that scored just as much, if not more runs. It was the night of the double dongs. I mean, it was just an absurd. It had to be a record-breaking scoring night overall. I mean, maybe because pitching wasn't great that the overall lineup scores weren't like record-breaking, but from a batting offensive perspective, I mean, it had to be one of the highest scoring nights from offense in all of baseball. So we'll see. It seems that the balls are a little bit better with the early slate last night. Obviously, going on, we've seen a lot of that's another case, right? Title that I make with these top owned, 40-50% owned pitchers. You saw it last night again. With Brian Wu. We have the same story tonight with Luis Castillo. Obviously, Luis Castillo is a little bit different than Brian Wu, but juice balls, very chalky ownership. There's always more cases to be had to fade stuff like that. I mean, none of these guys are bulletproof by any means, and that's kind of what we're seeing right now. But ready to dive in. Nice little 8-game slate tonight. Not a mammoth slate like we have the last 2 nights with 14 and 10 games, but winners to be had. So excited to dive in.
Yeah, absolutely. The pitching in Seattle and Minnesota hasn't been as good as we thought initially. I got to say hi to people in here. Toga sent out to get on the Cubs. It was a slow start for them. Thankfully, they did turn around. But, I mean, Tigers, Braves, D-backs, Cubs, Martinez talking about the Twins. You name it. I mean, you needed so many double dongs. Francisco Alvarez, G. Rising's boy, Torkelson, you name it. I mean, so many home runs. The phone was absolutely buzzing. So, hopefully you guys made some money yesterday. Pitching was tough. You had to avoid those landmines. Before we dive into it, though, Brian England in here, Mike Carr, Gator Nation, Nick's listening on the road. Love to see that. Tolga, Bill B's in here, Paraby, Aubrey's in here, Jax, Andrew Martinez. Appreciate all you guys hanging out with us. Hope your early slate's going well. But it's a fun slate this afternoon. 8 games. Before we get into it, though, got to shout out our partner over at drafters.com. Use that promo code SHIPIT. They will match 100% up to $20 all the way up to $100. Marley and I did a best ball draft earlier. A couple members hopped in there as well. We will be doing that every single week over here at chipitnation.com. So head over to drafters.com. Great site. They will match 100% from $20 to $100. See anyone else pop in? Jake's in here on time. San Marcos in here. What's going on, boys? All right, time to get into this slate. 8 games. We're going to start at pitching nades. It's interesting. I'm going to say 8K and above because there's a lot of viable options up here. Eduardo Rodriguez tops it for salary, 9.5K. You talked about Luis Castillo, though, at 9.3K. He is going to be the chalkiest pitcher on the slate. Charlie Morton, Justin Verlander, Carlos Rodon, Jose Barrios, and Yu Darvish, all the guys 8K and above, and a lot better names than we've been talking about the past couple slates. I will point out, too, one big difference on FanDuel and DraftKings, Carlos Rodon, 8.5K on DK, still going to get some ownership and is a good play, but all the way down to 7.5K on FanDuel, offers big salary relief from the Castillos of the world. So wanted to point that out. Nate's talk about pitching 8K and above.
Yeah, it's interesting. I am seeing Rodon checking in there's 3 pitchers on this slate over 30%, 35%. That's JV, Justin Verlander. Rodon checking in is third at about 30 to 35% as well. And then obviously you got Castillo, probably 40 to 50% owned, 45 to 50%. I'm seeing 47, 48% across the industry right now on Castillo. I'll hit on Rodon first, 8,500. I'm looking at the weather title, and I think that's the best weather game on the entire slate. 90 plus degrees in LA with the wind blowing out, which we don't typically see, right? West Coast games, but this game starts at 4:07, I think, LA time, right? Yep. So early, heart of the sun, you know how it is, right? Title, you live in Arizona, 3-4 o'clock in the afternoon is a freaking heat wave. So I think the juice balls are back, warm weather. I don't know if I'm going to go on Rodon. I mean, I know there's some pitch count concerns there as well. Best hitting slate on hitting environment, and I'm seeing him get quite a bit of ownership at 8,500. I like just dropping down to Yu Darvish, $500 cheaper than him. I like Yu Darvish at 8K flat. Just had a great game last game. Now gets Toronto. I'm not really scared of this Toronto team too much. I know they don't strike out a ton, but overall, I mean, 8K, I think he can be fine. Expected ERA under 4, strikeout rate right around 26%, limits hard contact. I think the Padres can get to Barrios a little bit too here. So that's a plus. And typically I don't play Yu Darvish very much, but one time I do play him is when he's under owned. I'm seeing sub 15%, which is pretty good in this range at 8K flat on this slate. So I like Yu Darvish quite a bit there at the bottom. Jose Barrios in that same game is interesting. Padres have seemed to find their bats a little bit here. We talked about Trent Grisham yesterday. That dude hit a dong again in the 9-hole at 2,300. I like him a little bit here tonight. I'm probably not going to get to Barrios tonight. I just typically am not a Barrios guy. I know a Sunday or last show that I did with Hamwich, I know he pushed the chips in on Barrios a little bit there. I'm not going to do it, so I'm out on Barrios, Rodon. Justin Verlander, I think, is interesting again. Pivotal matchup with the White Sox. We know what the White Sox, but this lineup that the White Sox rolled out does limit some strikeouts. I mean, Gavin Sheets in there doesn't strike out very much. Carlos Perez in there doesn't strike out very much. Even Elvis Andrus down there in the 9-hole in their sample sizes on the year, they don't strike out that much. I mean, 21%, 22%. Where typically earlier this week, Title, we're seeing this lineup 28, 26, 27%. But the lineup that the White Sox are rolled out, I'm seeing JV. I do think he's a fine play, but he is the second highest owned pitcher, I think, on the slate. A lot of people want to push the chips in on the Mets as well in terms of an offense. So that's just going to naturally increase his ownership a little bit too. I don't mind JV, but again, I just have a really hard time playing chalk pitchers based on what I've seen as of late. And it's not like JV is cheap. I mean, he's 8,800, and my favorite offense again on the slate is the Braves. I don't care if they would have scored 3 runs last night in this matchup against Nelson. They'd still be the top offense for me. So they're expensive. I need to find some cheaper guys. So I actually like Yu Darvish at 8K. Up at the top, I mean, Erod, I think, is my favorite out of those top 3 guys, 9,500 or 9K and above, I should say. Charlie Morton, Castillo, and Erod. I do like Erod quite a bit. Pretty favorable hitting conditions in Kansas City. I know it's not the greatest pitcher's park, but it's mid-70s, I think, some slight wind blowing in. And Erod, I think, can get some strikeouts. I mean, he's got a 27% K rate on the year. This Royals team against left-handed pitching strikes out at a 26% clip at home. So I think Erod is a good play, and I actually like some of the Tigers' bats a little bit too. I'm seeing sub 20% ownership on him. So up in this top 8K and above range, I think I'm going to go Erod number 1 for me, Yu Darvish number 2. And then if I had to grab a third, it would probably be Justin Verlander, but I don't love it, to be honest with you.
Yeah, Justin Verlander, I definitely like the matchup against the White Sox. Righties against the White Sox has been something to attack. However, Verlander, I mean, the K stuff just really isn't there. He has the longest leash or one of the longest leashes on the slate, but I think he comes in probably the second highest owned pitcher. And there's so many other guys just around him. I think he'd be the one of the chalk guys. Like I like Luis Castillo. Don't blame you one bit. There's so many viable options on the slate. If you just want to cross off the highest owned pitcher, so many pivots. I don't think it's crazy. Verlander, though, would be as the second highest owned, would be my favorite cross off. The strikeouts just really haven't been there as much. I like the Erod shout, no doubt. Picking on these Royals. I mean, this Royals lineup isn't scary outside a couple bats. Grades out well over here in our rankings as well, which, man, shout out to Boomer yesterday. Those rankings were absolutely fire. And then another guy, like you mentioned, Yu Darvish, he also grades out well in our rankings. And I don't think he gets too much ownership. I think people will find the 500 for Rodon, Verlander 800 more. I don't see him being played much. Definitely crossing off Barrios in this range. I think he's the easiest fade. Morton's interesting because it is really warm in Atlanta too. You mentioned about Rodon in LA. It's also about 90 degrees in Arizona or in Atlanta. Balls will be flying, but people are going to go Luis Castillo for 200 more, or they're going to go Verlander for 300 less, or Rodon for 600 less. He's right in that dead range. He's going to get some ownership, but like I'm seeing someplace like 20, 25%. I think Charlie Morton could be like 15%. Third highest K prop on the board. Only two guys above 8K have a pitcher's ump behind the dish, Eduardo Rodriguez and Charlie Morton. I don't know. I'm going back and forth with him. If he's 15%, definitely sign me up for Charlie Morton. I think the Braves put up a lot of runs. He should get the win in that one. But, yeah, I mean, it's tough up here, to be honest. I think on a slate like this, fill out bats first. Find your favorite stacks, plug them in. There's enough viable pitchers to figure it out after that. So I lean more bats today, figure out pitching, so many viable options up top. I will say, though, I definitely like namely sticking above the 8K range. Two of these guys will go below and talk about sub 8K. Like Kenta Maeda is going to get some ownership, 7.8K in that Seattle game that, I mean, runs have been scored. It's been hurtful as of late. I like Yu Darvish more for 200 more right there. I don't think Maeda is crazy. There is strikeouts to be had, but there also is power in that Seattle lineup. Couple other guys down here. I mean, if you want to go all the way down and just save all the money, any interest in Yarbrough, Ross Stripling, Graham Ashcraft? I mean, this kind of growth. That's why I like bringing above 8K Chase Silseth. But you talked about the weather in LA. Like, I don't really like these guys down here at all. I like the guys above 8K enough outside of Barrios, Erod, Castillo, Morton, Verlander, and he's my least favorite up there, Rodon and Darvish. Play two of those guys and figure out the bath. There's always enough cheap ones. That's how I see pitching. So I'm not even going to make a case for anyone below 8K. But Maeda will get the most ownership down here. Do you have any interest down below in these guys?
Yeah, I actually like Kent Maeda quite a bit. On the flip side of that chalk matchup, Seattle, I mean, arguably this lineup, just looking at the last 30-day numbers here, 26th actually, right? I mean, they contest the Twins in terms of strikeouts. In the last 30 numbers. Kent Maeda, I know, didn't come through us for us last start, but the starts before that, I mean, his strikeout stuff was there. He still got a 27% K rate on the season, even after that bad performance last. I think he bounces back here tonight. I do like him, and I'm seeing sub 15% ownership on him. I really like that Yu Darvish Kent Maeda pairing, to be honest, skipping all those guys up at the top that are getting a bunch of ownership. I do think that's very viable, though, title. I mean, if you had to really just kind of pick, I would say, I mean, it's pick two of the five right above 8K outside of Barrios, or six, I should say, right, with Erod, Castillo, Morton, Verlander, and Darvish. Even if you want to leave Verlander out, you still got 4 or 5 of those guys that you can play. That's a very viable route. I do think a lot of people that do MME 150 will have those 5 or 6 in their pool, and that's it. They won't have any of these cheap guys. I'm going to take a little chance. I'm going to ride with the strategy right now that bats are winning the slate. So I like Kent Maeda. I like Yu Darvish. And then another guy down here that I do like is it's gross. It's really gross. And it's Touki Toussaint. But if you look at his last 3 games, his pitch counts are there. 85 pitches, 81 pitches, and then 97 pitches. 97 pitches was against Atlanta. He faced St. Louis, and then he faced, I get it, he faced Oakland, but he just had a great game against Atlanta. 3 solid starts for his price. I mean, 6,900 on this slate. He gets you 13 DraftKings points, 15 DraftKings points at that price. to allow you to spend up for Atlanta bats, some of these other bats on the slate. I think he's a viable option down here. And it's also, I mean, I'm looking at the Mets in terms of projected stack ownership, and they're projected to be the second highest, even potentially the highest owned stack on the entire slate. So you got leverage there. And like I said, I mean, I watched that game against Atlanta. I stacked Atlanta. Everyone stacks against Toussaint. But if you look at his last 3 games, he was actually pretty decent, ranks pretty solid in our rankings over here as well. So I do think he's a viable punt. And then if I want anyone else down here, it's going all the way to the bottom with Yarbrough against Detroit. I do like Detroit offense, but I mean, at 5,500, he opens up your entire roster. You can play one of those guys at the top, stack up Atlanta, stack up whoever else you want. I don't advise it, but if you did want to go down, I am seeing a double-digit projection on him for 5,500. So wouldn't hate it, but definitely like that top of that 70 or 7K range with Maeda. And then Tougie Toussaint would be probably my second favorite as a punt option.
Yeah, I mean, he might be 5% owned. I'm not going to make the case for him. I personally don't really like it, but hey, Nate, you've been on fire. 4% owned, 5% owned. You could play all the Atlanta bats. It gets you different that way. But for me, I don't mind Kenta Maeda. I just like those other guys more in the 8K, the 9K range. So yeah, I would include him at Maeda and up in my player pool. I would X everyone else below. That Yarbrough, like if I had to pick one guy, it would probably be Ryan Yarbrough just because he's the cheapest guy. Again, Detroit's not the same, but I mean, Detroit hits righties better than they hit lefties. Yarbrough, lefty, I don't know, get you 13 and you'll live at 5.5K, pay up at all the bats. But there's enough salary relief on the slate, 8K and above. Kenta Maeda, I guess I'll say 7.8K and above. Pick 2 of those pitchers is how I see the slate. So let's rank them, Nades. I'll start with myself. I mean, I like Luis Castillo for sure. I'll rank him 1. But again, if you do play him, like your main stack, your secondary stack, you need some single-digit owned pieces in that lineup to get different. You can't jam all the chalk with Luis Castillo. I'm going to go Charlie Morton too, and it is a little scary. Warm weather, Arizona yesterday put up a bunch. But I like the pitcher's umpire behind the dish. I think his ownership gets squeezed right in that range, and 15%, Charlie Morton, third highest K prop on the slate, something like that. I'll go him 2, Darvish 3, and I'll go Erod 4. What's your top 4?
Yeah, my top 4. I'll go. I'm gonna go Erod number 1 at the top, Kent Maeda number 2, Yu Darvish number 3, and then if I had to grab a 4th, it would be the chalk and Castillo. Just it's hard to ignore that matchup, but I don't love it to be honest with you. But those would be the 4 I like.
I like it. Hey, I haven't asked yet, but we do appreciate you come in, hit that like button, hit that subscribe button for us. Helps us out a ton. Again, hope that your early slate's going well. Hope everybody out there having a good day. Hope you guys tuned into that PGA show Hoop and Tambo did. Monster prize pools going on tonight, an earlier lock than usual. So make sure you get those lineups in. Check out the PGA show. Check out all of our premium content. PGA up tonight. MLB going on, of course. We did the best ball show, best ball section in Discord. We got our rankings up on the site. MMA this week as well. NFL will be here before we know it. Low price, all those sports, $59 a month, $599 a year. Head over to ShipItNation.com. And again, do get in the Discord if you join. Think you guys will like it a lot. Love the Discord. Knowledgeable members in there, talking all the time. We really do love to see that. A great community we have over here. Game by game, Nades. First game of the night. It starts at 7:07 Eastern, 2 minutes later than usual. San Diego Padres, Toronto Blue Jays. Yu Darvish, Jose Barrios on the mound. I like Darvish. You like Darvish. So I don't like the Blue Jays as much, but hey, 4.6 team total for them. They're going to be very low owned. On an 8-game slate, I think you can do crazier things, but no, for me, I like other spots more. As far as the Padres against Barrios, there's just worse pitchers I'd rather attack. I mean, those guys above 7.8K. There's enough guys below 7.8K that I have no interest in that I'd rather target. So, again, I don't love this game. It's a cross-off for me, but a decent total in this one. What are your thoughts?
Yeah, I don't mind the Padres a little bit. Their bats are starting to come around. I mean, Trent Grisham's still in that lineup. He's just 2,300 with power. Hits right-handed pitching pretty well. Juan Soto hit another bomb last night. I like him. Manny Machado, Fernando Tatis, Ha-Sung Kim. I do think these guys are viable stack. Not one of my favorites, but they're going to be unowned. Guaranteed ninth inning at bats. It is Barrios. He can get barreled a little bit. But not one of my favorites. And then, yeah, I do like Yu Darvish quite a bit. So I'm out on the Blue Jays. I'm not going to chase the BVP that Toronto does have against Darvish, because if you also look at that BVP, it's littered with strikeouts throughout that too. So I do think even if Darvish does give up a home run or two, I do think he has some K upside. And at his price point with the ownership, I just like him quite a bit. So Blue Jays are pass for me in terms of bats.
Yep, I like it. We'll get to the next game on the slate. 8 games to talk about. If you guys have any other questions, you can throw them in. We probably will have a little time today. Used to these 10, 14 game slates. We have to break down so many ranges, the pitching, all of that. 8 games, a little different here. But, hey, we're going to waste your time. We're going to talk pitchers, talk game by game, spend all the time we need. And if the show's over earlier than usual, that's fine as well. But questions, we'll probably have time to get to them if you guys want to add any in there. Next game on the slate, New York Yankees, Los Angeles Angels, Carlos Rodon, Chase Silseth on the mound. Again, you mentioned the weather, 90 degrees, wind blowing out. It's only an 8.5 total, though. Rodon, second highest K prop on the slate. Yeah, I mean, I don't want to attack Rodon right now with the Angels on this slate. I will say if I did, it would definitely be on FanDuel than DK, because he's going to be way more popular on FanDuel due to a 7.5K price tag. Still, I don't think it's a slate for it. As far as the Yankees, they got about a 4.6 total. I don't know, man. These Yankees just have not been getting the job done. There's other teams I much prefer on this slate. So first 2 games for me, cross off. What do you got?
Yeah, it is good weather. Let me just tell you something, that 9-1-2 stack from the Angels might win someone a lot of money tonight with Chad Wallach, Zach Neto, and Shohei Ohtani. So don't sleep on that against Rodon. Like I said, Rodon's probably going to be the second or third highest owned pitcher on DraftKings. The chalkiest probably pitcher behind Castillo on FanDuel. That 9-1-2 wraparound stack for the Angels, don't sleep on that in 90-degree weather in LA, which is pretty rare to see, and the wind slightly blowing out. So I don't mind that. On the Yankees side, I'm seeing the Yankees as the second. I mean, the top 3 owned teams on the slate, the Cubs, the Mets, and the Yankees, are all contesting each other with closely behind with the Giants. So chalky Yankees, they haven't been very good. I will say Oswald Peraza is probably a cash game staple. If I had to look at the cash game stuff at 3K bat and leadoff, 2,300 on FanDuel, that's a joke as well. So I will say cash games, he's probably a good play, but I'm not playing the rest of these Yankees. They're probably going to be cash game options just at their price point. I mean, 4.5 implied run total, guaranteed 9th inning at bats. But I do think Silseth is still a decent pitcher. I know he hasn't showed it very, very much lately, but not a lot of interest in these Yankees. I just don't typically play the Yankees too much without Aaron Judge, and that's not going to change here tonight.
Nade's too sharp. Not even in the cash game streets too much. But yes, we will give a free one away. Nate's talked about it. FanDuel, DraftKings. I do have Peraza tagged. 2.3K on FanDuel, 3K on DK. Multi-position eligibility, bat and lead off, guaranteed 9th inning at bat. Makes a lot work for expensive pitching, expensive bats. So there you go. Free one. Nade's is too sharp right there. Keeping it rolling. Next game on this. Actually, saw Marty in chat. What's going on, Marty? Astro salvaging you. Jacob Stubbs in here too. Hope you two are doing well. Jake's giving out winners in chat. He likes the Twins. We'll get to the Twins a little bit later. If they do what they did yesterday, I like the Twins too. But hey, we'll see. Luis Castillo's the chalk, so you can make, and game theory wise, you can definitely do that. But jumping ahead, Jay, come on now. San Francisco Giants, Cincinnati Reds, Ross Stripling, Graham Ashcraft on the mound. 10.5 total, 80 degrees in Great American Small Park. Game went pretty nuts yesterday. Ashcraft is not good either. These Giants are very interesting to me. I like them top to bottom. Sign me up for them. And as far as the Reds, yeah, I mean, Ross Stripling, I mean, he's better than Graham Ashcraft, but he's still more attackable than a lot of these pitchers on this slate. Sign me up for some of these Reds too. Encarnacion went deep. Got a 500 price increase, but 2.5K is pretty much free. Will Benson went deep. I mean, sign me up for this team. Pretty much 1 through 9 too. I do lean with the Giants. I think Ashcraft's worse, guaranteed 9th inning at bat, but yeah, you can definitely game sack this one. I like it a lot. What about you?
Yeah, title, you're too sharp, man. Locked arm in arm. Give me the game stack in old Cincy there. Best hitting park on the slate. Decent weather. I mean, mid 80 degrees in a small environment, hot and humid, with juice balls. Sign me up for these Giants for sure. Number one against Ashcraft, who just doesn't strike anyone out. When you don't strike anyone out, put the ball in play in good hitters park. I like it quite a bit. Jock Jams is the leader right there. Wilmer Flores is peak Barry Bonds right now. That dude is just raking the ball. 3,100. DraftKings says, yeah, let me price up Encarnacion, but Wilmer Flores has 3 home runs and about 6 at-bats. Let's not move his price at all. So not sure what's going on there. Wilmer Flores, love him. Conforto, Yastrzemski, J.D. Davis, even Blake Sable there at the catcher outfield position, I think make a lot of sense. I like that middle of the order quite a bit with the Giants. You can always leave, or you can always include Lamonte Wade, who's been good all season long. Blake Wisely is super cheap, 2,200 at the second base position. Casey Schmidt has been okay. Don't love him, but I mean, 2,500 second base shortstop, guaranteed 9th inning at bats. If that's to say if he doesn't get pinch hit for, which is always an issue with the Giants, but guaranteed 9th inning at bats for the most part for these guys in good hitting weather against a pitcher that just doesn't strike anyone out. I love the Giants here tonight. They hurt me the other night, but it's hard to bet against them right now, especially Wilmer Flores. That dude is locked in. So Giants mini stacks, 5-man stacks, definitely one of the top plays on the slate for me. On the flip side, these Reds, yeah, I like the Reds as well. Ross Stripling, getting barreled at a 12% clip on the year, right around a 20% strikeout rate. These Reds, man, stolen base upside throughout the lineup as well. Home run upside. You want to talk about a really cheap secondary stack. Give me Encarnacion and Will Benson as a 7-9 mini stack that will be likely unowned because everyone that wants to play the Reds wants to play McLean, Ellie De La Cruz, all these guys for good reasons, Joey Votto. So, I mean, if you want to talk about a mini stack that's going to be lower owned for the Reds, Joey Votto, Encarnacion, and Will Benson, bottom of that order mini stack, pair them up with the Braves or someone else. And you got a nice little lineup there. So I do like the Reds. I prefer the Giants side, but this is definitely a viable game stack on the slate tonight.
Yeah, locked arm in arm for sure. And Marty said the same thing. Since he likes the game stack, he leans San Francisco. So 3 for 3 right there. Hey, and when someone's 3 for 3, usually go to the other side. Maybe since he puts up more runs here. But yeah, sign me up for this game stack, no doubt. 3 games into the slate, crossed off 2. At least I did. Love this one, though, no doubt about it. 5 games left on the slate. Chicago White Sox, New York Mets, Touki Toussaint, Justin Verlander on the mound. Yeah, I mean, I'm not playing the White Sox. If they beat me, they beat me. Even though Verlander would be one of the guys I leave off, I just don't think you need a stack against these guys. As far as the Mets, yeah, I mean, you were talking one of the chalkiest stacks. They're definitely going to be up there. I think the Braves will probably be higher. The Cincy San Fran game, I think it's kind of all grouped together, like 4 or 5 teams up there, all get pretty similar ownership. I say if you like the Mets, you play them. Pretty big total, 5.3. I do like other spots on the slate. I prefer the San Fran and the Red side than the Mets. I definitely don't like Touki Toussaint like you do, though, but I think you're going to say a pass on this one.
Yeah, I'll tell you the reason why the Mets are probably going to be one of the chalkiest teams. 5.5 implied run total, and they got 1 bat. Their most expensive bat is 4,900, whereas the Braves have 5 bats that you want to play all over 5K. So that's the difference right there. People want to spend up at the top for pitching, and you just can't do that with 5-man Brave stacks. That's kind of why I said that I like that 7,800 and 8K pairing in Darvish and Maeda. Both of those pitchers, low ownership, so I don't care that I'm playing the Braves right there. But, I mean, these Mets were absolutely atrocious outside of last night since the All-Star break. Shout out to my guy Raz on the chat. He had a disgusting 5-man twin stack in the 888 last night and got 2 negative scores from his pitcher. One of those was Giolito against these Mets. And, I mean, he placed like 20th or something in the 888 with the Twins. So he wasted his unowned twin stack that went crazy, but he had Giolito. And I looked at the numbers since the All-Star break after he said that to me because I didn't have a ton of interest in Giolito when we were talking yesterday. And the Mets were terrible. Now everyone wants to play these Mets after they exploded last night, much like everyone else did on the slate. I mean, there was 7-8 teams that on a normal slate would have won tournaments. So I'm off the Mets here tonight. I get the reason why people want to go to them. I mean, you got Vogelbach in there, Beatty, Guillermo. They're all under 2,500. I mean, you got Jeff McNeil batting in the middle of the order, 3,200. You got Tommy Pham batting second, 3,200. So they're cheap. With a 5.5 implied run total. I'm going to take my chances, fade that. Hope Touki Toussaint can kind of throw a Braves performance like he did his last time out and own some of these chalk donkeys tonight.
Yeah, no, I'll say game pass on that one as well. 4 games, 3 passes. I like the Great American Small Park one. Man, shout out Raz though. I hope my balls are as big as him one day, second the Twins in an 888. A very unfortunate 2 negative pitchers and the whole slate going absolutely bonkers. I mean, Twins are on the winner. I mean, a lot of those teams are on the winner 99% of slates, but great call, man. There's no chance I would have done that. But hey, that's the leverage. That's the game theory you get. And Jake's talking about it. We'll talk about it later. If you want the leverage, you can play the White Sox. Verlander will be popular. You can get game theory that way, or you can stack against Luis Castillo. I like other spots on the slate, but hey, you do get leverage that way. Next game on the slate, we do appreciate, again, if you hit that like, hit that subscribe for us if you're just coming in. Helps us out a ton. Free shows on the channel every single day. Arizona Diamondbacks, Atlanta Braves, Ryan Nelson, Charlie Morton, 90 degrees, wind blowing out a little bit. I like Morton again. I think his ownership, he gets squeezed a little bit. Third highest K prop. So I'm not going to go to the Diamondbacks. Got the job done yesterday for us. I'm jumping off, but they're going to be very low owned for sure. These Braves, though, I mean, yeah, 1 through 9, man. Ryan Nelson's not good. This Braves lineup absolutely on fire, top to bottom. And you can get different. Like, yes, of course, Acuna is going to be popular. There's Riley, there's Albies, there's Olsen. They are expensive. It's still, people are going to find a way to play them. But like Orlando Arcia, we talked about yesterday, he homered. Like, people aren't going to want to click that button. Ozuna, Rosario, they're going to get some ownership. There's no doubt about it. But Arcia, I think, comes in again the lowest owned on the team. You can play him 1 through 9. There's no doubt about that. High total on the slate. I'm not telling you guys anything you guys don't know. But Nate, anything you want to add?
Yeah, just pulling up last 30-day numbers for Nelson here. Ground ball percentage of 34% to both sides of the plate, which is not good for pitchers. I mean, you see the best pitchers in the league, right around 60% for the good top-end pitchers. He's sitting at 30%, so about half of that. And his fly ball rate is higher than matching his ground ball percentage. So giving a lot of fly balls up. And let me tell you something, 1 through 9, you give fly balls up to this Atlanta Braves team in 85-degree weather in Truist Park, the ball is going to leave the yard. And we saw that last night. Stack these Braves up 1 through 9. I actually, on my main team, I'm probably going to leave Acuna and Austin Riley off the stack, which is going to make me different right there. Allows me to still get a decent secondary stack, play some higher end pitching. And Nelson is terrible against lefties for sure. So I love the lefties in this lineup, and you got quite a bit of good ones. I mean, Albies, Matt Olson, Rosario, Michael Harris. I mean, all 4 of those guys. I wouldn't be surprised to see 2 or 3 of those guys at least hit a bomb tonight. So I like the lefties for sure. But 1 through 9, I mean, Arcia in the 8-hole just hit a bomb last night. He was what? I mean, he was sub 5% owned last night, I think. On everyone wanted to play the Braves, and they just leave the bottom of the order off. So Rosario, Harris, Arcia, great plays. Ozuna is a love-hate relationship. I mean, the Braves went nuts in the first inning, and Ozuna comes up and kills the rally, which he always does so frequently. But, yeah, Braves 1 through 9 in play for me. On the Arizona side, I'll bring up Alek Thomas again just because he remains cheap, $2,700 with some power. His price actually went down, I think, $100. He had another good game last night. Don't mind him, but, yeah, don't really want to attack Charlie Morton. On this slate, I just think there's other pitchers you can attack. So off the D-backs, but yeah, pushing the chips in on the Braves again. My top stack of the night.
Yeah, and I will say, I mentioned Francisco Alvarez a little earlier about the double dunk yesterday, but yeah, Parabai said Mets suck besides Alvarez. Yeah, I mean, he's going to get some ownership too. Gator J said, who are the highest owned teams waiting on the solver? I think the Braves, the Mets, and the Giants will be the 3 highest owned teams, but again, I think like Reds will get some ownership. Ownership will be spread out a little bit, but if I had to say 3 teams, I'll get the most ownership. I would say those 3: Giants, Braves, and the Mets. Keeping it rolling though. Next game on the slate, we got Washington Nationals, Chicago Cubs, Trevor Williams, Kyle Hendricks on the mound. Wind's not blowing in today; it's blowing sideways, so wind doesn't mean much. A little warmer than it has been. High 70s, it looks like in Wrigley. I think this is an interesting – I like both sides. This is the interesting spot for if you're trying to get away from the chalky teams. I like coming to this game. I really prefer the Cubs side too. And my favorite bat on the slate, I'll even give my dong of the day right now. I'll say it later. Cody Bellinger. I've been talking about him all week. Keeps getting the job done. I think he takes Trevor Williams deep, Suzuki coming off a monster game. Christopher Morel will get some ownership, so I think I like leaving him off the most in my Cubs stacks. Second base, third base eligible, 4.3K. He's definitely going to get some ownership. So I think leaving him off Cubs stacks is my favorite way to go. But yeah, I mean, I like this line of 1 through 9. I don't think they get too much. They're going to get some ownership, of course, but not in the same tier as the other guys. Trevor Williams is not scary one bit. Give me Cody Bellinger, go deep, like Suzuki right there. Sign me up for this team 1 through 9. And the Nats, man, they're pesky. Hendricks doesn't miss many bats. He does keep the ball on the ground a bit, but you always talk about CJ Abrams. I think this lineup's interesting too. I mean, they're free. I like paying up at pitcher. I like some expensive stacks. Like you can use them as a mini stack. So sign me up for this.
Yeah, I do think the Cubs, I mean, I'm seeing 4 teams projected over 10%, right around, or 5 teams. I mean, with Atlanta, San Francisco, the Yankees, the Mets, and then the Cubs are in there as well. It's just a bet. I mean, Trevor Williams is just not good. I mean, the dude has the last 30 days a 6% strikeout rate to lefties. And Cody Bellinger has been one of the best hitters in baseball. And guess what? He hits from the left side of the plate. So too sharp there. Mike Tauchman, bat leadoff, lefty, 2,800 with power. Love him. Ian Happ, again, switch hitter there. So love him. Miles masturbation down there in the 7 hole. I think a lefty at 2K. You can play him. Just Trevor Williams doesn't strike anyone out. Gets barreled at a 11% clip on the season. These Cubs got it done yesterday late after everyone wrote them off early. It's still a decent hitting conditions in Wrigley. It's not like wind is howling in or anything like that. It's not a win game with it blowing out. But, I mean, Trevor Williams isn't good. So I do like the Cubs. They will get some ownership, but I don't really care, to be honest with you. They're cheap. They got power. So I like them. And then on the national side, looking at – let me just pull it up here. CJ Abrams always, obviously, I talk about him. His game log is just ridiculous. The dude can steal bases. It doesn't matter. 3,200. He's cheap at the shortstop position. Candelario, 3,800 at third base, I think makes some sense. Keibert Ruiz, I always like at the catcher position because he's got power and he's in kind of that mid-tier 3,500 price point. That's what you're looking for out of your catcher is power. Dom Smith, you can always include him. He's got power. 2,600 at first base. Nobody really likes paying down at first base ever. So he fits the bill for low owned. And then Alex Call, I always bring this dude up. Not the greatest player, but when he gets on base, he'll steal bases. He can hit some home runs. So I don't mind the Nationals. I definitely prefer the Cubs side, but it's Kyle Hendricks. And I mean, he doesn't strike anyone out either. So typically a ground ball pitcher, but no strikeouts. These guys get on base, they'll steal, and you can rack up points really quickly. So I do like both sides, prefer the Cubs, though.
Nades and I locked up again. It's been a pretty good couple of days, and you like it. I mean, I like it too. The Cubs definitely I prefer, but yeah, the Nats are going to be definitely very low owned. Prefer them as a mini stack. Again, there are a lot of cheap options to get to. This Cubs team I for sure like. And I want to say it's Miles Mastrobuoni in the 7 hole, but again, I do not know for sure. But yeah, you made me chuckle right there. I thought you were going to say Jabroni. Threw me a little curveball, just like I hope Charlie Morton throws a couple curveballs to these snakes, like Jake said earlier. 2 games left on the slate. Tigers, Royals, Eduardo Rodriguez, Ryan Yarbrough, 85 degrees in KC. Wind looks to be blowing in a little bit. Yeah, I mean, I'm definitely not playing the Royals. I like Eduardo Rodriguez. As far as the Tigers, yeah, I mean, they're cheap. I think you can make a case for some of them. Absolutely went nuclear yesterday. Jake Rogers in the 5 hole. Javi Baez sticks. I like that little mini stack right there. Bottom of the order has a lot of cheap bats. Maybe Miggy throws one back a couple years back, takes one deep, 2.3K. Torkelson double done yesterday. Yeah, I mean, I definitely like other spots more. They're not going to crack my favorite stacks. If I had to, I'd rather pass probably than full stack either side. Mini stack Tigers maybe, but I like that last game a lot more. I like the Braves more. I like the Reds and the Giants more. I assume that not many people out there are 150, and so that's how I see this game. But what do you got?
Yeah, I like the Tigers a little bit. Just as I don't think I'm going to 5-man stack the Tigers tonight, but Torkelson, Carpenter, and Jake Rogers, I brought those guys up yesterday. I'll go right back to them against a lefty. All 3 of those guys hit lefties pretty well. Even Zach Short down there at second base, 2,300. Banton in the 9 hole has pretty good numbers against left-handed pitching. So don't mind those guys. I think they're more of a mini stack. And then the Royals, I'm not targeting the Royals against Erod. But title, we're flying through the slate. I see about 150 people in here watching. Obviously, with day baseball, the open, all that stuff going on. Viewership's down a little bit. Let's see if we can get to 80 likes. Set the bar a little low. We'll give away our top-ranked pitchers and hitters like we always do, along with our, obviously, title and I's favorite pitcher call and home run call like we always do. But see if we can push those likes home. Hit the subscribe button as well if you have not already. We're approaching 2,200 subscribers, which has been absolutely crazy on this channel. We appreciate all you for the growth. But, man, definitely right here on this channel, Hoop and Tambo gave the premium show for free right here on YouTube to get those winners in. I jumped in the PGA streets for the first time all season and definitely watched that show. I'm going to rewatch it, take some notes, get the little notepad down, listen to Tambo, and see if I can build his lineup, listening between the lines there with those two guys. Incredible content. We obviously have that all over here at SHIPITNation.com, along with all the best ball content, MMA. I mean, you name it, we got it. $59 a month is absolutely ridiculous. And anything else that we do add, like PGA projections, surprise, that have dropped this year or this week for the last major of the season. It's all included in that price. Your price is, once you're locked in, it's never going up. We're not going to come to you and say, hey, you owe us more money. You get everything and anything else that we do add. So absolutely ridiculous value there. So definitely SHIPITNation.com. Head over there and check us out.
I appreciate you doing my job, Nate. Help me, save me a lot of breath right there. But yeah, reiterate everything you said. And to help build Tambo's team, he puts his core plays up on the site. He has a slate plan. He breaks down, types whole paragraphs, sometimes 2 paragraphs, talks game theory, always in the Discord too. So again, Discord's very, very good. Any questions you have for Hoop, Tambo, myself, Nate, G Ryzen, Hamwich, anybody, you can tag us, get our thoughts on everything as well. So make sure, check out that show they did for free. Again, yeah, maybe people don't have the money right now. It's a slow time waiting for NFL, whatever it may be. All we ask really is the like button, subscribe button. Love to see you in the Shipping Nation Discord, but definitely check out that free show. Monster prize pools. Looking to see a Shipping Nation logo win a milli this week. Wouldn't that be awesome? One game left on the slate. Oh, yeah. Nate did say 80 likes, though. He'll give top 2 pitchers and top 3 hitters, though. So, 63 now, 1 game left. If we get 80, Nate's will give that away. Feeling generous today, just like yesterday. Last game on the slate, Nates, we got Minnesota Twins, Seattle Mariners, Kenta Maeda, Luis Castillo on the mound. 7.5 total. I mean, literally, it's carbon copy of 2 days ago on Monday, carbon copy of Tuesday. 2 solid pitchers that are getting some ownership. Pitchers Park, one of the best pitching weather. And, I mean, these teams just keep getting it done, man. The pitchers really have not got there for us. Gilbert didn't get there for us. Wu didn't get there. Ober did okay, I guess. I don't know, man. What are your thoughts on this one? I mean, I'm not playing bats. If you want to get game theory, you want to get leverage, yeah, play the Twins. They're cheap. I like other spots on this slate, though. I'll keep riding it. What about you?
Yeah, so the one thing I would say is just the lefties for these Twins. And the reason I say that is Castillo, the highest owned pitcher on the slate. In last 30-day numbers for Castillo, striking out 22% of lefties. Actually, his strikeout percentage is under 20% over the last 30 days. So his strikeout numbers have dropped. I get it. It is a boost in strikeout upside here against this Twins lineup. But, I mean, he's allowing a 291 ISO to the left side of the plate with a 40% fly ball rate. I get it. It's not the greatest hitter's park, but these lefties, I mean, talk about Max Kepler, Joey Gallo, Alex Kirilloff, Edward Julian, who hit a bomb last night. They got some lefties here that are hitting the ball pretty well right now. And don't sleep on these lefties again. That's kind of Raz's case that he made last night. And that's why he threw his balls on the table and stacked it in the 888 to try and win 250 stacks, I think it was. Came in 20th with absolute, I think he didn't even score 1 point from his pitchers combined, which was crazy to see. And you could do the same thing here. I mean, Solano's got an 18% strikeout rate the last 30 days. Ryan Jeffers, low strikeouts there. So just home run power upside, a little double leverage if you want to. Personally, I play 2 teams tonight. I'm not going to get there, but it's a case to be had because Castillo's strikeouts have dropped over the last 30 days. Does get hit pretty hard by the left-hand side of the plate, and those are the guys that are hitting the ball right now. So don't hate it. On the Seattle side, Really don't love it. I mean, I like Kent Maeda, all things considered, price, matchup, everything on the slate for me. So I like him quite a bit. The only guy I will bring up is Eugenio Suarez. Continues to be cheap with home run upside, 2,700 at third base. That's the only guy I would look at, obviously, in lineups that you're not playing Maeda, but pretty easy stay away spot for bats on this one for me.
Yeah, if it beats me, it beats me. We talked about a lot of other spots. We like 8 more likes. I mean, we'll talk stacks right now. What my favorites that we talked about here, I'll say with ownership and the ownership, I'm gonna say the Cubs at 1. I really like this Cubs lineup. They're very cheap. Cody Bellinger. We're gonna get to Dong of the Day. You guys already know mine, but they're in the tier of their own. I love the Braves. I like Cincy. I like the Giants. Those are my favorite 4 stacks. But all 3 of those teams are going to be much higher on than the Cubs. So that's what I'll say for my 4. What do you got, Nate?
Yeah, I'm going Braves number 1, and then you jump off a cliff down to the next tier. I'm going Cincinnati in there. I think Cincinnati comes in lower owned in that San Francisco in that game. They're the Giants number 3 for me, and then my 4th. I'm going to go. My 4th, I'll go with the Cubs with you as well. I do like the Cubs. I like that Wrigley game a little bit. So Braves number 1, Reds number 2, Giants number 3, and then the Cubs number 4 for me.
Dong of the Day time. Cody Bellinger going deep. You guys knew it. That is mine. Nate, what you got?
Yeah, I'm going back to the well. I'm going to give you 2 again, a little 2-pack Taco Tuesday, but it's on a Wednesday this day. Matt Olson, Sean Murphy, 4 and 5 in that Braves lineup, top stack of the day. I think they go slightly under-owned, especially Sean Murphy at the catcher position. He was one of the lowest owned Braves yesterday because he is the most expensive catcher on the slate. People like to save money there. I think he hits one deep tonight, and then Matt Olson, I mean, one of the best hitters in all of baseball, gets a the lefty versus righty matchup here with Nelson, who can't strike out any lefties, gets hit pretty hard. I like both of those guys, and it's a little mini stack there for you if you can't afford the 5-man.
There you go, a little 2-man Dong of the Day for Nades. No love for the Twins. Hey, Jake, you'll get the Twins unowned again if you want that. King of Smack, New York's going overlooked. Yeah, outside of Peraza, if I stack the Yankees, I would probably leave off Peraza. Outside of him, though, Stan will get some, of course, but they will be low on. They're like my Cubs. Cubs might be a little higher on, but that's the boat that I throw them in. So you like the Yankees, you'll get them at low ownership. Can eat some chalk at pitching. Talking about pitching, our low-ish owned pitcher of the day. I'm going to go Charlie Morton. Again, I talked about it earlier. 200 less than Castillo. People are going to go Castillo and find the 200, or they're going to save 300 for Verlander, save 600 for Rodon. He's not going to be single digits, of course, but I think around 15. High teens, maybe 3rd highest K prop on the board. Going to get plenty of run support. I think he gets the win. I hope that curveball's on, Jake. That's what I think. So, yeah, give me Charlie Morton as my low-ish on pitcher. Worked yesterday with Montgomery on the slate. That was awful. Hope it works again. Nades, talk about pitching, and then I'll check if you got 80 likes. We'll give the rankings. Otherwise, we'll get on out of here.
Yeah, I'm going to the last game. I'm not going with the chalk of the slate. I'm going with Kent Maeda on the other side, sub 15%. He's going to post 30 DraftKings points tonight, and the Twins are going to win the game in Seattle. Everyone's going to be on the wrong side of that game. Give me Kent Maeda to strike some of these Mariners out, win the ball game, and post a good score tonight at 7,800.
Yeah, I saw we had 76 likes, and I checked, and we had 75 likes. Yeah, no chance we can get those rankings. If you do want those rankings, though, head over to ShipItNation.com. They've absolutely been on fire. Shout out Boomer. Projections up, stack rankings, hitter rankings, pitcher rankings as well to go with the slate plan. Nate's core plays, Hamwich, G. Risen's thoughts, cash game report as well. Everything you need to be successful. And again, check out that PGA content. Monster prize pools. Hoop and Tambo absolutely been crushing it. Hoop won 30 stacks last week. Tambo got himself a little ticket. Looking to run it back this week, and MMA this week as well. Best ball content. Everything you need to be successful. Low price, $59 a month, $599 a year. And, of course, shout out our friends over at drafters.com. Use the promo code SHIPIT for 100% match deposit, $20 to $100. Getting some best ball drafts with us. Got a $20 $300K up top this year, $3 $30K up top as well. Great stuff as always, Nate. Hope people finish out the early slate in the green. If not, make some money tonight in the main slate. We will get on out of here. Have a great night, everybody. For Nades on Titletown. Good luck, everybody.